I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
Hello horror hounds, welcome to my horror house. And yes, I know it seems like social media and YouTube is currently awash with takes on the new Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and I am only going to add to that. I would certainly urge you to check out Frightfully Forgotten's recent Trash or Treasure video they put up for this Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's fucking hilarious. I'll link to it in the description down below. I've seen it a couple of days ago. Didn't record a review for it yesterday because I was still so angry. But just thought, I wanted to join the general hullabaloo surrounding it. Now I know there are people out there who love it, and there are people who say, guys, why are you expecting decent plot or characterization from a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, guys? It's got some sweet ass kills. Just be thankful for that. And guys, you're not wrong. If you love the film, you love the film. And I always say this, you win. You're one up on me. You've got one more film that you love more than me. You're winning. You're winning at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. It doesn't give me any pleasure to come on here and snipe and gripe about a film and generally dump all over it. And I don't often do that. I have no choice with Texas Chainsaw Massacre other than to not do a video about it. And it riled me so much that I can't keep my trap shut about it. What I'm going to do, which I never do, is I'm just going to read you out my notes, first of all, as I made them while I was watching the film. Because if I watch a film with a view to reviewing it here, I'll make a few notes. So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All caps underlined. Where is their money coming from? And why do they speak in exposition? So, Leatherface isn't deformed. How is he an orphan child in 1975? The Gen Z versus Texas dialogue is fucking atrocious. Like the image of the field of dead sunflowers. I don't buy the Hardesty angle at all reeks of Halloween 2018. There's a sense of karma here, punishment for wrongdoing, and the original was pure random chaotic madness, a true descent into the inversion of the American home and family. How is that face staying on? Why has the chainsaw been plastered behind a wall? Why would 70s Sally only give Leatherface's description? Why wouldn't she be after Drayton and the hitchhiker and the rest of the family? No emergency exits on the bus? There is at least a chainsaw massacre. Why doesn't Sally shoot him? And when she does, she can't shoot for shit. There is no way Sally is still alive. The scope of this film is so small. Does a chainsaw go through a body that easily? So many people getting knocked down, then coming back for a last-minute hero moment. It's like WWE. Non-definitive kill move on Leatherface in case we want to bring him back. See you for the next sequel, which only recognises the first movie. Oh, he's alive. What? The car has actual autopilot? Maybe I wasn't paying attention at the start of the movie, but they have a self-drive car, so when they actually set autopilot, the car just goes. It's one of many questions that the film raised, as you can see there. I eventually, my notes just became a list of questions. So it's not a great film, guys. It positions itself, as you all know, as a true sequel only to the original movie. Not as hardcore as Halloween 2018 did. I think Fede Alvarez, who's one of the producer co-writers behind it wanted to allow a little bit of space where fans of the sequels could slot them in if they wanted to, but my God, you'd have to do some mental gymnastics to do that. I mean, picking up on the Leatherface in an orphanage, definitely as a child in that photo in 1975, a couple of years after the events of the first movie, when he's clearly an adult. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter doing quite a bit of mental gymnastics, suggesting, well, I suppose he could have been in his late teens in the original movie. I mean, and you do get some sort of 14, 15-year-olds who are huge. Yeah, maybe sort of could have. Have you ever, in the last 50 years almost, watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre and thought Leatherface was anything other than a fully grown man? But no, apparently you have to do some sort of arithmetical backflip. And it reminded me a lot of Texas Chainsaw 3D, where the original writers wanted to set it in the 90s and it got mucked about and was set during the modern day, and you started counting on your fingers while you were watching the film. If you start doing mental arithmetic during a film, the film is doing something wrong. And yet again, during a sequel which said, yeah, the original film definitely happened, when you start doing your sums going, oh, how old is he? How old was he supposed to be? And stuff like that. You've kind of missed the boat. When you set your film up with a group of, I guess they're Gen Z influencers who have bought a Texan ghost town with a view to auctioning off properties there to try and revitalize a ghost town with an art shop and a gelato store, somewhere where you can get your scoops and stuff. I mean, it's utter madness. Right from the start, you're sort of you're thinking about the logistics of, oh well, the bank's involved. So has the bank given them a loan to buy this town, and then who gets the money? Does the bank get the money off the sale that they're doing, the auction of the properties? And my God, how old are they actually? They look pretty young. So how have they managed to swing this? Are they making income from their social media accounts that's managed to generate the buzz? Straight off the bat, you're trying to work out the logistics of exactly what is going on, when all you needed to do was to get some people to Texas. And that's it. Those people, and I have no bad things to say about the acting in this movie. Everyone put in front of the camera did exactly what was asked of them and exactly what was expected of them. I have no beef with any of them. But what they were asked to do and say was so first draft poor, it begged belief that was the dialogue that got in front of the camera. These Gen Z heroes, and I remember when the trailer came out, and the usual wankers were saying, "Oh, they've gone woke. They've spoilt Texas Chainsaw Massacre by going woke," and that's basically just code for having people in the film who aren't white. I mean, it makes me fucking nauseous. But anyway, apparently Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 went woke, and then you watch the film, and what you find is that these Gen Z characters are given tweets rather than dialogue. It's as if it's as if the writers never met anyone from that generation and only learnt about them through social media accounts, not even Gen Z social media accounts. Tweets about what Gen Z is from older generations. They just seem to be a collection of stereotypes about what Gen Z is and does, that if I was actually a member of that generation, if I was of that age and saw how sort of I was being represented in this film, I get really fucking pissed. I mean, I'm pissed off enough as it is, and I'm Gen X. I shouldn't give a fuck. But I do. It made me angry. I'll tell you very specifically why it made me angry. Toby Hooper and Kim Henkel's Texas Chainsaw Massacre is about a number of things, but one of the things it is about is the death of the hippie dream, the death of the love generation, the literal death of it. The 60s love and peace generation, flower power hippies, meet the reality of the Vietnam War and the fucking meat grinder that is. And here in metaphor, we see VW camper van full of these kids come up against the harsh reality of what modern day America is. And the dream of the love generation is fucking butchered and filleted in front of our eyes. And it was made by people of that generation. I genuinely believe that Toby Hooper and Kim Henkel were really fucking angry that the promise of that generation was never came to fruition. You can see throughout Hooper's career that I think he still maintains some element of that hippie ideal in him. Certainly, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 is a really pointed satire against the economics of the 80s. You can see commentary about exactly the same thing in the dialogue in Poltergeist, in the manga I've reviewed recently. There's real pointed satire against the dehumanizing effects on the working classes of capitalism. I don't want to get into a fucking politics lecture here, but I think it's important for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was about the death of the ideals and hopes and dreams of a generation made by people from that generation. It would be ripe to revisit that now in a world of Gen Z talk of what has been dubbed wokeism, but equality, ecological sort of nous. Generally, again, there is a sort of groundswell from the younger generation who are really very actively and vocally saying things could and should be better, and they should become better quicker. Exactly what the hippies were saying, right? Exactly what that 60s generation was saying. And at the time, the older generations, as they always do, were reducing them down to little stereotypes and your long hair and your flared jeans and this and that and the other and your rock music and that's all you are. To have gone through all of that and then to grow up and then to just dump the same shit on the new generation by creating these wholly unlikable, like scumbag characters who are so fucking self-centered, not even really a true representation of the concerns of that generation, is an act of such fucking rank hypocrisy that it absolutely fucking disgusts me. But here we are. We've got a film where before it came out, everyone was accusing it of being woke. And what it is probably one of the most anti-woke films I've seen recently. All the so-called woke characters are navel-gazing scumbags. And all the rootsy-tootsy down-home Texans, they're actually all good people. Do you know what? Most everyone are good people. Most everyone around the world just wants to get on, wants to make enough money to get by, have a roof over their heads, food in their bellies, feed their kids, and have a bit of fucking self-worth. It's not that fucking difficult. And why Texas Chainsaw, since the first film, has become, when the first film wasn't even fucking about that, has devolved slowly over time into city versus rural, and now it's become some insane sort of north versus south commentary that it was never intended to be. Just this lowest common denominator fucking sludge at the bottom of the barrel shit that is masquerading as some sort of fucking social commentary. It's insulting bullshit because no thought has gone into it whatsoever. The character that is a survivor of a school shooting and is afraid of guns. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? Might is right. Yeah, she's going to pick up a gun. Can anyone shoot a gun in this movie? No one can shoot for fucking shit. The field of dead sunflowers looked great. It's an image that I've never seen in a Texas Chainsaw movie before. It looked really painterly, the way it was shot during the day and then in the dying of the dusk and then later on at night. Absolutely fantastic location. Couldn't fault it. It's actually the one moment of artistry that actually stood out for me in this film. I went, I really like looking at that. I really wish we could have done something interesting with this. But yeah, dude, there are a ton of really gory deaths. Woo! Name me a single gory death from the original movie. Again, the franchise has been sort of reduced down into something it's not. There are now many, 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 many more Texas Chainsaw movies that are about overt, grisly, hyper body violence. I mean, Christ, even Tobe Hooper's part 2 is the flip side, is the opposite of what the original was. Tobe Hooper has the sense, I believe, in part 2 to satirise his original film. And I think it works brilliantly as a counterpoint, a sort of just off to the sides heckling of the original film, with Drayton talking about the woes of the small businessman. He's just trying to get by. So yes, we have a succession of hyper-violent kills, and if that's what you want, great. You're going to get some good stuff to look at. You're going to get some other stuff that you're going to go, the CG's a little hinky on that, and some other stuff that looks slightly more practical or slightly better CG that you go, oh, that's effectively gruesome and gory and explicit. And if that's what you want, you will get plenty of it. It does leave me again. Leaves you thinking about the logistics of lots of things. I'm no expert with the chainsaw. I'm guessing, well, they're designed to go through tree trunks, so I guess they would go through a human body like butter. The chainsaw just seems to go through people real easily, and it's just, it did leave me pondering, would it be like that? Would it just be a zip, zip? I guess, maybe. I don't know. But I don't think I really should be sitting there wondering that during the main set piece bus slaughter, which, by the way, I mean, that of a series full of lowest common denominators. Christ, no one would really en masse get their phones out and start live streaming stuff like that. No one would really say, do anything, bro, and you're cancelled. It's just, that's what these kids say nowadays. They're all about cancelling. It's all about woke and cancelling. And then it'd be really cool, right? Because they'll all get their phones out and say, oh, we'll cancel you. And then Leatherface is just gonna charge through them with his chainsaw and slice and dice them, and that'll show those stupid kids with they're trying to be fair and decent to one another. What the fuck? It's repugnant. But yeah, we get a cool little, like I said, at least there actually is a chainsaw massacre in this Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and it is insanely over the top. I guess one of my main disappointments comes from the fact that this is produced and co-written by Fede Alvarez. I think Don't Breathe is great. I loved his take on Evil Dead. I think that is so strong, taking an existing, beloved, decades-old property and doing something current, modern, really hard-hitting with it. And the magic has absolutely failed him with this one. I don't think there was the love for the property behind it. It just absolutely fucking reeks of, wow, Halloween and Halloween Kills is really successful. What have we got? We've got Leatherface. Right, do that with Leatherface. Leatherface should never be the front and center of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's the muscle. He's the loose cannon. He's the guy that they let out. Go get her, Leatherface, when all else has failed and it's just absolute fucking carnage. But Leatherface becomes the poster boy of the franchise in much the same way that Pinhead becomes the poster boy for the Hellraiser franchise, when the intention was for it to be about Julia, and I would have loved to have seen a third movie with Jude as intended, with Julia reigning in hell. What we could have had, but no. Pinhead now becomes to the Hellraiser franchise what Leatherface has become to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, and both of those franchises and both of those characters are diminished as a result. And this will sit on Netflix, and it's caused a buzz, excuse the pun, and lots of people are talking about it, and an awful lot of people are saying it's an absolute piece of shit, which I happen to think it is. But it won't matter, because it will get its views on Netflix, and regardless of what people actually think about it, Netflix will be able to say that it's a success with their sort of very opaque sort of margins for deciding what's successful or not behind the Wizard of Oz curtain that we're not allowed to peek behind. They can just say, yeah, it's a massive success, and they probably won't make another one. I would be amazed if they made another one. Or if they did, it would be for half the fucking budget, and it would be a quarter as good again. At some point, I'm going to realise with Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels that I don't like people kicking me in the face. It's made me like Texas Chainsaw 3D a lot more. I've got time for that. I've got time for an awful lot of the Texas Chainsaw sequels. I like the crazy ones. I like Part 2 and I like Next Generation. I quite like the early 2000s remake. I don't think I like the prequel to that one. It's a very mixed bag. And Leatherface recently, it's been utter fucking garbage. It just seems that everyone wants to suck like a little leech onto the first film and try and suck all the goodwill out of it and say, no, we're a true prequel to the first film. We're a true sequel to the original film. No, we're the true sequel to the original film. I'm Spartacus. When will I learn? All you needed to do was to get some people to Texas. And that's it.